Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Potter Podcast. I hope you guys are doing well. For those of you watching live, thank you and for tuning in. Feel free to comment as we get into this discussion today. And the discussion today and the topic is, again, with our market being the way it is, and I think it's the same a lot nationally. We're discussing how there's a similarity in the listing price of homes and the starting price as you were at an auction. So I don't know if you have ever been to an auction before. I've been to a couple, and yes, they are fun, and yes, it is fun to put up the little sign with your number on it or raise your hand and start bidding on things. And that's literally what's happening in our market and has been for a while here. Especially if you are a buyer and you are going out there in the market, you're finding yourself a lot of times in a multiple offer situation. And so I want to break this down for us. I want to kind of give you that picture, that illustration, if you are a buyer or a seller, to kind of get this idea and this picture in your mind, because this is exactly what is happening and what's going on in our market. So for those of you that don't know or that follow me, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, in the Midwest here. But I can say that this is the case for a lot of cities across our country right now. So this picture is going to be relatable to a lot of people listening, regardless of where you're at. And let this just kind of set the tone for you, no matter if that's 6, 12, 18, 2 years from now. I was going to say 6, 12, 18 months from now or 2 years out from now. Just know that this is kind of the picture that you need to have in mind as you go out into the market, because in reality, and the truth is, this doesn't change whether it is a seller's market, a buyer's market, if there are things flying off the shelf right now like they are, or if houses are sitting on the market longer. This picture of what I'm about to tell you will be relatable to you no matter what the circumstance, no matter what the situation, no matter what the market. And so that's why I wanted to share with you, because I think this is a really good idea. And it is basically, if you've ever been to an auction, right? Like you go around, you look at the different things, same thing as today, like with houses on the market, tons of people viewing things online, waiting. You're seeing a lot of coming soons. You're seeing a lot of things like that, which is typically a lot like what you're doing at an auction, right? Usually there's this time frame before the auction starts on that specific item that allows you to kind of walk around and look at all the different things in the room, and then you, as the consumer, get to go and decide what it is that you want to bid on, right? And it's the same way that it is now is with the housing market. Okay, like there's a lot of people out there that obviously start their search online, right? We all know that's true. That your first showing, I always tell my sellers, is online. It's not actually the person that's coming through your house, but that first showing is online. So that's why it's important to have some good photos up, or at least some photos of the house, so other people can see that, because they're viewing your house and that's your first showing. Then your second showing actually takes place when somebody schedules a showing and comes to the house. But how does that relate to what I'm talking about now? And that is with the auction stuff. So think about it this way. If you're going to an auction, right, you walk around all the different tables or different products or whatever the case is there in that building or online, and you view it first, right? Before you even make a bid, you take a look at the information regarding those things. So you're finding out what the history is, right? You're finding out how many owners there was. You're finding out if there's any defects, like all those things you can typically find online and in that prior situation before the auction. And then if it's not, right, it's being sold as is, right? Like, so you know what you're getting because you can see it, touch it, feel it, kind of the same thing with the housing market, right? You know what you're getting when you walk in and you actually get to see it on that showing or that tour of the house. And so here's what I mean by, the auction price. Basically, in this market and in any market, really, moving forward, just keep this picture in mind, because the listing price is the starting auction price. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is if the house, for example, is listed for 250,000, right? And you've got 20 people or 30 people that go and view that house or go through it as a showing or a tour of it, there's a good chance there's going to be multiple offers in that situation. Not all cases, but a good chance that there may be some multiple offers in that situation. Especially if the house is in pristine condition or it's in a good location or it's priced right? So you've got all those things, and then if somebody's walking through there and they want to write an offer, right? Typically, that offer is going over the listing price, and whoever's going to win that bid, right? So again, bid, right? Offer. Multiple offers can be correlated or translated into other bids on the property. And so basically, what the seller then is going to do is going to take a look at all of those different offers that have come in on that property, and they're going to make the best decision for them in the current situation that they're in as far as it relates to what they want to do moving forward. So for example, if somebody is writing up an offer and they go, 10 grand over the asking price, they're going to waive an inspection, all those different things, right? Like that auction starting price was 250, but now somebody's going up to 260, right? And maybe there's somebody else that came in and is willing to go more. Like that's where that auction price or that price of that house continues to go up until it's agreed upon by buyer and seller what the price should be. And so that's what I want to kind of get in your minds and in your heads as you're thinking about potentially purchasing a house or selling a house. Because sometimes I'll have sellers that'll say like, well, we think we can get more. And I'll tell them, well, you will get more because if we're priced below where we should be, you're going to probably get multiple offers and somebody's going to drive that price up into the area that you think it's worth. If you go and list at that price, right, and you don't get any offers, then you're priced too high. Nobody wanted to bid on that property. And so what we try to do, obviously, in this market, now there is some strategy, I will say, like in the current markets where you know where the price should be, right? But you're going to price it a little bit lower to get more traffic in to drive that price up is what a lot of agents do and a lot of successful and smart agents do. And they're not trying to price the house to be the top, most expensive house in the neighborhood. They're pricing it to be below what the competition is in the neighborhood in response, hoping that you're going to get multiple offers and you're going to get people to drive that price up, right? That's how you know if you're priced right. Typically, what I like to say, in a seller's market, in our current market right now, if you're priced right and you're under, $200,000, for example, which is like the first-time home buyer typical, area to be in as far as price range. If you're in that first-time home buyer situation where you're a seller and you're in a seller's market and there's multiple offers happening around other houses and things in your neighborhood, if you're priced right, that thing should be sold in less than a week. That's just me being real, especially like right now in this market. You should have multiple offers. You should be sold within a week. Now, obviously, that's going to change. That's going to fluctuate as the market changes and as, people go back to school and different things like that. You got to factor in all of those different things. But I will say this, if you have low inventory in your current city and in your current marketplace, then there's a good chance that your house shouldn't stay on the market very long. Okay. Now, moving forward, obviously if those things change, then again, you're still treating your listing price as the auction price, right? So you may be testing the waters out with a certain price and you may not get any offers. Well, what happens at auctions? If nobody bids on something, they lower the price and then they go back and they try to get more bids on the property. Or on the product, sorry. But same thing in our situation is if you're one of those people, you're going to basically want to go put your house out there, and if you don't get any offers on it, it's not necessarily the listing agent's fault. Some of that could be due to marketing and advertising, but in most cases, it's due to the house being priced too high. And if the house is being priced too high, then that's when you've got to go back and come up with another game plan and basically say, okay, how willing are we, or what are we willing to come down to in price to get this house back up on the market? I've had one of my mentors say to me, which makes absolute total sense, is when you're going out and you're talking with sellers about listing their properties, one of the key things that you want to say, or that your agent should be saying to you, is, I'm not interested in the business, and this is what I tell people, I'm not interested in the business of getting your house listed. You know, anybody can list your house and anybody can put a sign in the yard. I'm interested in getting your house sold and getting it sold in the shortest amount of time with the most money in your pocket. That's my job as a realtor, and a good realtor will do that for you. But let me say that again so that we can slowly break this down. You know, there's a difference between being listed and being on the market, okay? If your house is listed, right, but you're not getting any offers or you're not getting any traffic on it, then you're not on the market. And that's when you need to reevaluate and think to yourself that maybe you may be priced too high, or the condition of your property isn't in the liking of what the market is saying. And so it's key, and it's very important. If you're a seller, please listen to me right now. It's very important that you listen to the market, okay? What I mean by the market is the people that are interested and that are out there looking to buy a home. And if they're coming into your house and they're coming into your property and they're looking at it, okay, there was some interest, right, in the beginning because they've already looked at it, they've seen it online, they've scheduled an appointment to come through, but for some reason they didn't go write an offer on your property. And you want to find out what the reason was why they didn't write on that property. Now, sometimes it's because you're competing with the 3 or 4 other houses in your neighborhood that may have better updates, or may have more square footage or a finished basement or things like that, right? Things that you can't change. But there are some things sometimes that you can change. And if you listen to the market, okay, that can help you sell your house. Okay, so that's important when you're a seller. Again, now if you're on the buy side, right, don't be afraid to give feedback to that seller so that they can make the adjustments needed to get their house sold, right? And if the seller's not willing to listen to those adjustments or come down in price or fix those things that are coming back as feedback, then their house isn't on the market, their house is just listed. And there's a big difference. When your house is on the market, your house is gonna sell, right? But if your house is just listed, you're hoping and praying that some fairy comes by and gives you the offer that you want for your house, and that you don't have to make any updates or do any of the things that you know should have been done while you've been living there or prior to getting the house on the market, right? So you're just listed, but nobody's writing any offers. You're not actually in the market. So the goal is to be in the market, to be aggressive, to be competing with a lot of those other people. So what you want to know, okay, here's what you want to know as a seller. And my advice for you, if you're listening and you're thinking about selling your house, or you're wondering what you should do moving forward, and maybe there's some updates that you should make, here's what you need to do. Look at the houses in your neighborhood that are comparable to yours, that are pending or that are active, okay? Look at those houses. You can see them on Zillow. You can see them on Realtor.com. You know, I would much rather have you call me, but I know that's not going to be the case in every scenario, right? But you are literally going to look at those, and the same thing. I'm going to do that as an agent. I'm going to look and see what's active and what's pending, and then I'm going to look at those pictures and bring them to your house, and I'm going to say, where do we sit in comparison to these? Now, obviously, if you are someone that is sitting there and you think your house is way more than what it actually is, and then you see your neighbor's house that's listed that has better upgrades and better updates and they're priced lower than what you want for your house, there might need to be a come to Jesus moment or a reality check there that says, maybe my house isn't worth what I thought it was worth, or maybe there's the updates that I need to make to my house in order to get what I want for my house, right? So you're going to be able to compare and see what it is that you need to do, whether, and I always think it's one of two things. It's you need to come down on price, or you need to make the updates needed to get to the price that you want to be, okay? And again, I will say this too, I think there's a lot of sellers out there that go and they make these updates and then they want to get more for the house, when in reality, like that's not what's going to typically happen, you know? So that's where you want to meet with a smart realtor that will walk you through and tell you what are the upgrades that they think you should make, where to get those updates, right? So that you're not spending a gazillion dollars and then trying to get all that money back but you're making the updates necessary for what the market's telling us and what our buyers are telling us. And then you're putting your house up in the market, right? You're not just getting your house listed and a sign in the yard, but now you're going to be competitive and you're going to be aggressive and you're going to have your house on the market, okay? Big difference there. So as we move forward and to kind of close this up here, let's talk about this one more time. So again, the listing price is the starting auction price, okay? That's what you need to know as a buyer and as a seller. So if you're a buyer in this market and you're a buyer out there and you know that there's multiple offers going on, you know it's going to be competitive, you know all those things, you have to ask yourself this, and you have to get rid of this idea in your head. I think a lot of buyers that we're working with will say things like, well, I don't think the house is worth that much. Okay, then don't write up on that house. But here's the thing. How do you really know what that house is worth, right? Like if the listing price is $140, but you're willing to go up to, and other people are willing to go up to $150, $160, $170, then that's what the house is worth to somebody. That's what the house is worth to a buyer that's willing to pay that, okay? Just because you're not willing to pay that doesn't mean that somebody else isn't willing to pay that and isn't going to pay that, and that the house isn't worth that much, okay? So you have to get this idea out of your head that I think a lot of buyers are still stuck in when they think about this, is that they think the listing price is like, okay, well, let's go ask for closing costs. Let's go ask for some of these things. And it's like, we can't do that in this market. Okay, that may change moving forward. But right now, you have to understand that we're at an auction, okay? And there's 10, 12, 15, 20 other people that may be interested in wanting to purchase this house. So the question you need to ask yourself is, how willing am I able to go up to, or what am I willing to go up to get this house, okay? Like, what am I willing to pay for this house? Erase the number that's there as the list price, okay? Erase what that number's saying, because you need to be asking yourself, what am I willing to pay to get this house? Not what is the listing price, okay? Erase that, take that out of the equation. You need to be asking yourself, what am I willing to pay? And if you come to that conclusion, right, and you come to the conclusion that you're okay paying 15, 20 grand more, which is probably what you're going to have to do in this market, know that that's okay. It's not looked down, it's not frowned upon, it's not a negative thing. Like, it is what it is. That's what we're in. And so that's the reality, that's the truth that you need to hear as a buyer right now, is that, you know, you're not necessarily going to go out and get this house for the list price. So if you're someone that doesn't want to spend over a certain amount, my suggestion to you as a buyer is to start looking at houses that are 20 grand below what it is that you want to spend. So for example, let's say you're pre-approved for $200,000. We'll just keep this number easy. If you're looking at something that's $200,000, I would suggest looking at houses that are around the 180 to 185 range, because then that gives you some flexibility to go up with some escalation clauses, to go up to 200 and potentially win and get that house. If you're looking at stuff that's 195, 200, it's not going to go for 195 or 200. It's going to go for 205, 210, 215, 220, 225. Like, it goes on and on. We see it happening all the time. So you need to be aware of that. You need to know that. You need to start preparing for that if you are a buyer in this market and thinking about some of those things, okay? So again, the listing price is just the starting auction price. You need to know that as a buyer. As a seller, you need to know that as well. There's a good chance that if you're priced in that specific price range, that you could get multiple offers as you move up into higher price ranges. Know this as a seller, things may not be flying off the market as much as you move higher into that price range, but know this, again, it's still the starting auction point. So if you're in that luxury real estate, there's a lot of times where it's like, man, we know we're close in price, but now we just need to listen to the market and see what it says. And as the market speaks, then we make those adjustments and we shift as needed, okay? If they think that we need more updates or our house is outdated, we need to come down in price, or we need to make the updates in order to keep at that price, right? So maybe you take it off the market, you put the updates in, you throw it back up with the new updates, or you come down in price. So those are the things that you need to be thinking about, you need to listen to, and you need to be aware of. Also, I will say this, if you're a seller in a luxury price range, yes, there's potential that you could get multiple offers, but it's not going to be a lot. It's going to, I mean, when I say a lot, like you're not going to be like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus multiple offers. You may be like at 2 or 3 or 4, depending on the condition of your house and where you're located and those types of things and the price. But I will say this, know that the higher you go up in price, everyone needs to know this and they should know this, but some don't, the lower the buyer's pool. Okay, so you need to be aware of that too. Like if you see and you're hearing that all these houses are flying off the market and all these things, it's probably true, you know, but in certain price points, that's where it's happening. It doesn't mean that if you're at a $650,000 house, you know, where your average price point is $230,000 in your current market, like I would say that you're in a luxury real estate there where your buyer's pool is probably a little bit smaller than it would be if you've got people that are searching or buying in that average price point of $230,000. Makes sense? Hope so. If you guys have questions, let me know. I'm always here for you guys. Again, if you have questions, suggestions, comments, topics that you want me to discuss moving forward, hit me up. Hit me up on social media. If you have my phone number, you can always text me. But let me know because I am willing to cover some of those things as we move forward. So thanks, guys. I hope you guys appreciated this one. We will talk to you soon, and have a great day.